Level 1. DEFCON 5. This is the normal world. You're a shift supervisor at a nuclear missile launch facility buried under 60 feet of reinforced concrete in rural Montana. Your day starts at 6 a.m. You eat powdered eggs in a cafeteria that smells like burnt coffee and institutional carpet. You take the elevator down. The doors open onto a corridor that's been painted the same beige color since 1973. Two of you sit in the capsule, 12 feet of steel on shock absorbers, suspended so that even a near miss wouldn't knock you offline. You run checklists. You test equipment that you hope every single day you will never actually use. By 2 p.m., you've run the same diagnostic sequence 14 times. By 6 p.m., you're reading a paperback thriller someone left in the break room 3 months ago. The missiles are always ready. That's the point. Your readiness is the reason nothing happens. You drive home on a 2-lane highway past fields of wheat. The radio plays country music. You stop at the same gas station, same pump, same coffee. Nobody at the pump knows what you do for a living. You signed papers that made sure of that. DEFCON 5 means peacetime. It means your country's enemies are watching, and watching you watching them. And everyone has decided that the watching is enough. You go to bed. The missiles wait. Level 2. DEFCON 4. Something changed in a part of the world most people couldn't locate on a map. You don't get told what. That's not how it works. What you get is a briefing officer who is professionally calm in the way that people are professionally calm when they are working to conceal how much they know. He tells your unit that intelligence readiness is being elevated. He uses the word elevated 5 times. He doesn't use the word crisis. You check your equipment more carefully now. The diagnostics that used to feel routine now feel like the last time you checked your car brakes before a long drive. You find yourself noticing things you didn't notice before. A slight delay in a relay switch. A temperature variance in the secondary coolant system. You write it up. Your partner writes it up. The report goes somewhere above you and you don't hear back. Your leave is quietly canceled. Not dramatically. You just check the system one morning and the approved request is pending again. The news says there are diplomatic tensions. Analysts on television talk about de-escalation pathways. None of them have been 60 feet underground this week. None of them have run the same checklist 14 times in a room that suddenly feels smaller than it used to. You call your wife. You tell her, work is busy. She has heard this before. She says, okay. There is a silence that both of you have learned not to fill. Level 3. DEFCON. 3. Forces above your pay grade just got recalled. You find out through the same briefing officer. Same professional calm, but this time, something is sitting behind his eyes that wasn't there last week. He confirms that Strategic Air Command is at increased readiness. He says this in the same tone he might use to announce a change in the cafeteria schedule. Your rotation now runs 6 hours on, 6 hours off. You sleep in the facility. You stop thinking of it as a workplace and start thinking of it as a place where you live. The checklist you've run hundreds of times now carries a different texture. Each item feels less like procedure and more like rehearsal. Your hands know exactly what to do. That's by design. The entire system is built so that the 2 people in this room can execute a launch sequence in less than 2 minutes. Under pressure, under nuclear attack, under conditions where one of them might be dead. You don't think about that. Thinking about it is not useful. You run the checklist. Outside, it's October. You know this because someone taped a calendar page to the wall above the coffee machine. The wheat fields are turning gold. You know this because you drove through them 4 days ago, which is the last time you saw sunlight. Somewhere in Washington, men are on the phone with other men in Moscow and Beijing. You are not in those rooms, and your job is to be ready for the moment those conversations stop working. Level 4. DEFCON 2. The last time this happened was 1962. You know this because everyone in the facility knows this. Nobody says it out loud. Nobody has to. The briefing is different now. Fewer euphemisms. Colonel you've never seen before is in the room. He tells you that specific targets have been updated in your targeting package. He tells you that communication channels with higher command have been augmented. He tells you to be ready. He is very clear about what ready means. You sit in the capsule and you understand for the first time at a cellular level what this facility was actually built to do. The checklists aren't abstract anymore. The key around your neck isn't a symbol. There are 2 keys. There have always been 2 keys. The design ensures that one person cannot do what both keys are required to do. This seemed in training like a technical detail. It now seems like the weight of the entire architecture of civilization resting on a piece of procedure. Your partner's from Ohio. He has a daughter who just started college. You know this because you've spent hundreds of hours in this room together, and there is nothing else to talk about, except the real thing. He doesn't talk about his daughter today. You don't talk about your wife. You run the checklist. The clock runs, the phone doesn't ring, level 5, DEFCON 1, maximum readiness. This level has never been officially declared in the history of the United States, but you're here now. The world above you is a thing you are aware of theoretically. Somewhere on a surface you can no longer access. Decisions are being made or have already been made, or have already failed to be made. You don't know which. The communication channels are running. They are also running slower than they should be. The colonel was in the capsule 20 minutes ago, and then he wasn't. And nobody has told you why. You and the man from Ohio sit 3 feet apart. The capsule hums. The systems are green. Everything is exactly as it should be. Technically, operationally, mechanically. The facility is functioning at the highest standard of American military engineering, and you would give everything you have ever owned to be in a wheat field right now. The phone can ring at any moment. The authentication codes are in front of you. The sequence exists. Both of you know it. There's no ambiguity about what happens if the phone rings and the codes verify. You were trained for this. You are ready. You have been made ready by years of engineering and procedure and repetition. And readiness is the one thing you have. And also the one thing you desperately hope is never required. The room is quiet. The missiles wait. You wait with them. And then the phone doesn't ring. An hour passes. 2. The colonel comes back. His face tells you something before his mouth does. He says the words "stand down." He says the words "diplomatic resolution." He says something about back-channel communication, and he doesn't finish the sentence, and you don't need him to. Your partner puts his head down on the console, not dramatically, just down. He stays like that for about 4 seconds. Then he sits back up and he looks at the ceiling and he says, "Okay, just that, okay." You drive home in the morning on the 2-lane highway through the wheat fields. The radio's off. The fields are still gold. The gas station is still there. Same pump, same coffee machine. With the same broken handle, you have to push sideways to get it to pour. The woman behind the counter asks how you're doing. You say fine. You say fine because what else do you say? You say fine because everything you just spent 4 days inside of is classified above her clearance and your own, and in some ways above language itself. You take your coffee. You get in the car. The missiles are standing down, which means they are exactly where they've always been, exactly as ready as they've always been, in a room 60 feet underground, being monitored by 2 people running the same checklist 14 times.